Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all.
You too. Um, so I think people will be joining. Right now, it's only the four of us, if I understand correctly, but the session's
Yeah,
been recorded. So I guess we can do introductions amongst ourselves while people join. Because I think you've met before in the tech check session, but I wasn't there. So nice to meet you all. I'm Benjamin Torrero. I am from Mexico City, living in London, and I'm a venture capital investor in Boost Capital. Um, we invest in early stage tech startups with focus on gamification uh, to bring what we've learned from the gaming industry. Everyone in the fund has some background on gaming to other verticals, which mainly deals with consumer understanding consumer behavior and how uh, people make decisions and applying it to business cases and to not just in mainly in consumer and tech sectors. So yeah, I guess we can start by simple introductions and then we'll go to the pitch sessions. So uh, Jamila, if you want to introduce yourself. Oh, or I don't know if she had a problem, but Natalie, I guess.
yeah, okay, no worries. So I'm Natalie Race. I work with BMI. I'm a global account executive here. So we work with retail execution management. Basically, our mission is to help big CPGs to improve their retail execution, make sure that their products are presented correctly in the stores, help them to perform better in retail and stuff like that. My role is connected with the commercial part. So basically, I help our customers and future customers to understand better how our technology works, if it can be applicable in their case, and how we can, build our partnership to make sure that they can achieve their goals in retail execution.
Awesome. Nice to meet you again.
Yep.
So, Lina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Lina. I am the director of marketing at Yapster, also based in the UK, London. And we are a communications platform. So we help industries like hospitality, retail, care, anyone that has frontline colleagues where they don't have email addresses. So we are an app, a communications app. So we help connect the CEO to your bar staff or the person that's working in the cashier desk. And yeah, we have gamification as well as one of our features. And that's it.
Awesome.
I think
Uh,
I think Jamila can't hear us.
yeah, I think she's having some tech issue. No, she cannot. Mm. Okay, so let me just quickly write
I'm
here.
not sure if you can hear me or see me.
Yeah, we can.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
she
we
can't
can.
hear us. No.
Maybe we can send a message in the chat.
Yep. Okay, I texted her.
Okay.
Okay. Uh,
I'm not sure why I can't see anybody, but if just let me know when you want me to start.
um, yeah. Let's start with Jamila. She can't hear us, but she'll pitch. So I'll just send uh, text so she can start. Mm, I'll send her a direct text.
It's so interesting. We're trying to bridge the gap in technology, and yeah,
Okay, I'll begin now.
Yeah, we're the tech people in
So
this
thank you
conference.
everyone for your time today. I'm Jamila. I'm the founder and CEO of Parla. And at Parla, we're really excited about helping brands to connect with customers when they cannot do so all the time in person. So if we think about e-commerce or digital channels, we want to use those and humanize them so that customers can get great service. We can help customers explore merchandise and inventory when they are not physically in the store. And I will share my screen. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. All right. So the problem that we're trying to help brands and retailers solve is really how we can decrease the gap between in-store sales conversion, which is about 50%. It can be even higher in some industries, like groceries, for example, to 3%, which is the average for online. And when we think about the difference between these two sales channels, what we know is that when customers interact with sales associates in store, they actually generate 81% more value for brands. And so this value is they purchase on the first time, so a higher sales conversion. There's a larger basket size. They come back more often. And so in total, they're worth more. Their lifetime value is greater to the brand. And when we think about physical stores or even just interacting with a salesperson, we know that as customers, we're able to have a personalized experience. So we can speak to someone and ask our questions, get personalized help. We can go back to the same person every time we visit the store. So we're building a relationship with that person and that brand. The person in the store can help us. They can show us how to use a product. They can make suggestions or recommendations. There are other things in the store that catch our eye. So it's a lot easier for brands to inspire the customer or upsell the customer. And then finally, it's really easy to check out. So there's a way for customers to choose their merchandise and then pay for it. Unfortunately, online, even though there are lots of tools to try to facilitate how we can offer personalized service, expert knowledge, discovery and browsing, or even checkout, it still doesn't create the same experience that customers have online. And of course, online shopping has a very different value proposition from being in store. So with Parla, what we do is we try to mirror the in-store and in-person shopping experience, but in a digital environment, because we know that customers cannot always be with our salespeople and they cannot always be in our stores 24/7. But that doesn't mean that we can't help them in a way and engage with them in a way digitally that replicates what exists in person and in store. And so what we do from a communication perspective is we allow customers and sales associates to interact using any form of communication. So it could be a video conversation, it can be a phone call, it can be something chat-based, like an SMS or over WhatsApp. We help customers see merchandise in a more visually engaging way so that it's not just product pages on a website. And then finally, any items that are of interest to the customer can actually check out while they're engaging with the salesperson. So we're able to take the customer from inspiration to checkout in one place. And what we're able to do, and I'll show you in a demo, is hit the same types of metrics that would exist in person in store. So we're able to increase sales conversion. We're able to increase basket size. We allow the customer and sales associate to continue chatting. It's not just a one-time interaction. So it leads to more purchases. And then overall, we're helping with increasing lifetime value for the brand. What we do is we connect with the brand's existing technology. So you don't need to invest in anything new to work with Parla. So your existing infrastructure for inventory and e-commerce, whether it's Salesforce or SAP or Shopify, your CRM. We connect with all of those pieces, and then we just essentially turn on a communication tool. We turn on the ability to process payments. We turn on the ability to connect with customers on demand or via pre-scheduled appointments. And then, of course, we're giving you all the data and analytics that come out of the experience. And I'll show you what that's like with a video demo. So I'm going to introduce you to a customer named Kathy. Kathy has been looking for some furniture for her house. She's just moved to a new place. And she doesn't yet want to go into stores, but she wants to speak to an expert and have someone answer her questions. So she schedules an appointment with a brand, and she's now connecting with the salesperson who's in a store. And what she's able to do is she is in almost a two-way FaceTime conversation with the salesperson. And anything she's interested in, the sales associate can scan a QR code or a barcode, and it instantly comes into Kathy's screen. So now she can look at more details while she has that personalized service. And most importantly, she can check out. So she can actually buy the product while she's speaking to an expert over video. We offer automatic follow-up emails. And in the event that Kathy wants to think about the item, what we do is we'll send her essentially a mood board where she can see the items she was interested in. And in the background, we repurpose the brand's social and marketing content to bring all these pieces to life. So we're not just showing her a sofa. We're showing her a sofa with a throw, with a coffee table, with a lamp, so that she gets inspired and she gets excited about the piece. And also she has ideas to buy more items. So every image or video is shoppable. As you can see here, we can click on the sofa again through this photo. Kathy can look through the details. She can add it to her cart. And if she wants help again from that same salesperson, she can click on this phone icon in the top right, and she can re-engage with that same person over video or SMS or WhatsApp, whatever the brand wants. What we're seeing from our usage across multiple industries, fashion, furniture, skincare, and beauty, is that we're able to hit the same sales metrics. So sales conversion is at 50%. We're able to increase minimum order value by 2 to 3x. Our session time is actually quite long. So customers will spend about 20 minutes with the salesperson. And we're able to show them 4 times more merchandise viewed than normally just browsing on a website. So we're very, very excited about the ability to humanize digital commerce, to humanize e-commerce, and to bring customers and sales associates and brands together using any form of communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila. So for those who just got here, Jamila's having some tech issues, so she cannot hear us. So we'll postpone the Q&A for now for Parla, but it was very interesting, and hopefully she'll solve those issues, and we can ask her some questions afterwards. But for now, let's go over to Natalie Reyes from BMA.
Thank you, Benjamin. Let me share my screen. Hey guys, can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So for those who just joined, I'm Natalie. Once again, I'm a global account executive here at BMI, and we work with retail execution management. So basically, our mission is to remove the barriers to perfect store execution for CPGs, and we do that through AI and great customer experience. And through years, we've been working with companies like JSK, Mars, P&G, Reckitt, and many other companies from different industries to help them not only with the retail execution itself, but also to improve their market share. And we usually do score a very high NPS, so 50 plus, not only because we do provide a great customer experience, but also because we put a very big effort into the moving the needle for our customers with their key metrics and measurements inside the stores to help them achieve their business goals. So the question is like why retail execution is such a big challenge. And given different industries and companies that we work with, we highlighted like maybe 5 typical problems that our customers have and that they are looking to solve. And it doesn't really matter like where you are based, like what country you operate in, what you sell. It is really very common for all industries to have these challenges. Imagine you're a big CPG brand and your team comes to the store on regular basis to collect data on like your assortment and your products, how they are presented in store, if you have promo materials or not. There are quite typical issues with the things you can do in store because of course it's very time consuming to collect data manually on like what is going on with your products. Second part is like what to do with this data. Once you get it on your hands, what you can do with it. And if you don't have any guidance, of course, it will be very challenging for the team members from sales to do that. Of course, there's an issue with objectivity. So if you want to know your reps' performance, their ROI, if you want to understand how much you can trust the data they collect, this is something that's like where you can use the technology to validate all the information. And I think all of us know that the retail environment is very fragmented right now. So it really depends on the country, basically, where you're based and what you're shopping for. But the idea is that it's very, very different. There are a lot of channels, formats. I know that in Latin America, there are a lot of independent stores, for instance, and this causes a lot of difficulties to the brands to understand how they can improve their in-store situation and how to collect this data from in-store generally. So, as I mentioned before, our mission is to drive this growth by overcoming these barriers. And it doesn't really matter like what industry we operate in, what channel we are talking about. We really tend to improve the metrics for our customers, which you can see here on like multiple examples, and even overcome the like KPIs that were set in the beginning of the project. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about the perfect store compliance or distribution compliance, assortment compliance. We can still be very helpful with different types of metrics using the technology. Of course, the biggest question is like how we do that. And in our case, this is the end-to-end retail execution management platform that can be broken down into 2 components. So the first one is the Compass mobile application. This is the mobile app that enables the field teams that are working in the stores to quickly capture the data about all their KPIs and get instant recommendations on what to do next while they're still in store. So the key here is that everything is happening in real time. And we also kind of gamify the process for the field reps because they get their scoring and they can understand where they can improve it and get recommendations on what to do. And of course, the secret sauce here is the image recognition part. So our company is holding the computer vision expertise to make sure that we can actually scan the shelves automatically and provide these recommended actions also automatically. So we eliminate these manual interactions for the field reps, and we make sure that they can optimize their visits and improve their performance overall. Second component is the cockpit dashboard. So this is something like a retail analytics platform where you see all the data which is coming in from the stores. So you have it in real time. So again, this is like an instant access to data that you can act on in real time. And there's also team management part. So if you want to understand your team performance, see what issues are, what opportunities are on every banner level, this is something that can be helpful a lot with your targets, and it is super customizable as well. So whatever layer of data you need, you will get it in the dashboard. Now about the secret sauce that I mentioned. So based on our customers' feedback, our IR technology is like the best of the best in the market because we do confirm that we have very high accuracy of 95+%. And compared to competition, we also can onboard very quickly. So for us, from the kickoff meeting with the customer to the rollout, it takes only 2 months to train the engine on the category of our customer and make sure that we get to very high accuracy and are already like ready to launch. We don't need retraining, so our system is very stable and it retrains automatically. So there is no need to submit any additional data, improve the like KPIs all the time because they will be good from the start. So just to summarize the key benefits of such a solution, if you want to implement it in the retail space, of course, the accuracy is a very important topic because you want to trust the data that is collected with the engine. And this is something that we can commit to and provide a very high performance thanks to like a different methodology that we use in AI training. It also should be scalable, and that's where we can be very quick in launching the solution for one of the customers within just 2 months. It should be easy to use, of course, for everyone. So we don't want to make we want to make sure that our customers don't have any troubles with the application, that it's smooth and really intuitive to use. And this is important for the field teams, not to make the technology worse, make the situation worse with the technology than it was before. The system is agile because you can get to every layer of information by channel, by format, by customer. So of course, whatever data you need from the retail, it can give you a very profound understanding of what's going on with your brand in store. And as I mentioned before, we are growth oriented, and that's where we usually partner with our customers to make sure that everything we do drives the growth for them and not providing any random results that you cannot do anything about. So for us, it's important to make sure that we can optimize and create the sales impact within measurable timeline. So I guess if guys, for anyone who is listening, this is relevant, I'm happy to connect and see if there is a match. Otherwise, thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, Natalie. And people who are listening, if you have any questions for Natalie, that something about retail and e-commerce in general, or something in particular for Be My Eye, please put them in the chat. And I would like to start with one question for you, Natalie, which is,
sure.
What do you think is the main pain point for your clients? What's the main reason why they want to use you?
I guess it's very straightforward, because the time and effort that you need to understand what's going on in store is immeasurable. And if you don't use technology, you will never get to the point when you can get profit from any activities in store. So whatever you do, whatever you sell, you want to know what's going on with your products in store. And usually this is the problem, because there are a lot of stores, a lot of formats, a lot of limitations, not enough hands, very high, cost for labor and people who will go to the stores and collect this information. So you want to make sure this is scalable. You want to make sure that you can apply something that will make this easy for you to collect this data and get access to it instantly. And I think this is something that our customers are looking for, especially when we speak about technologies like image recognition. This is still kind of new in the market, but we see a very high demand for something that will help our customers to automate the everyday work that their sales teams are doing in the field.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, anyone asks any other question? I'm curious about another thing, which is, I guess the improvement that you give your customers through the product is as good as the willingness of the reps to use it, right? If they are not engaged, you cannot help your clients improve as much. So how do you keep them engaged? Do you do any nudges to, or implement any nudges to keep the reps engaged on using the product?
That's a very good question, actually. I really like it, because some of our customers work with external agencies, and this becomes really more difficult to engage those people who are not working for the company to work with our application and deliver, reliable but also very transparent data from point of sales, because this is their job to keep their products, on shelves and in order with the guidelines. So for us, fair point would be that we have the gamification process in the app. So what you see in the app when you join the system is that all the stores in your remit actually have the score based on the audits that you've done in the past, and you can improve them. And we have something like a traffic light system where you can see different scoring and colors based on your previous work, and some actions that we recommend to do to improve the situation. So usually we work with our customers to put up some incentives on this. So the better you do your job and getting the highest score in the application, some incentives will be there that can help you to, earn more money or maybe get some other good perks at the job to help you perform better. So this is something that we work on together with the customers, because of course it depends on the situation, like how they incentivize their people right now, if they have any systems in place and stuff like that. But from our side, of course, we do everything that is possible in the application to improve this situation when the person doesn't really want to provide transparent data on their job inside the store. We try to like reword it and make sure that they are happy to improve their metrics and be fully transparent.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last question on my side is, like, historically or on average, the retail industry is not like the industry in the ground, the people who would use this is not a very tech savvy industry. So how do you teach them how to use it, like that they can actually have value by using it, and how do you sell it to those people who might not be as tech savvy as other industries?
Yeah, that's a fair point, because I agree some industries are less tech savvy, but I see that among very big CPGs, there's still like a high level of engagement already, and they really understand the value of technologies. But of course, sometimes there's the educational part where you have to help the customer understand how this can be applicable, and that's where we can bring our expertise from previous projects and help them understand how in their specific situation this can be applied, and how they can benefit from it. So usually it depends, because we connect with the customers on like different levels. Sometimes they already come to us asking for something specific. Sometimes it can be the situation when it's just like the first meeting and we want to understand better how the system works on their end, like what are their KPIs, how they collect the information on them, how they act on them, and to try to like module the system that will help them to improve their current situation. And this educational process takes like half of the sales cycle, so to say. So basically, we can help them based on our expertise and recommend what we would do to improve their current situation. But I would say usually when the client is not tech savvy, it's more about the smaller companies, or maybe regions that are not this like tech savvy generally, you know.
Mhm.
But even from like Latin America, for instance, we get a lot of requests from the local companies that would like to understand how they can improve their local retail situation, because retail environment there is very peculiar, and there are a lot of like smaller stores. It's very hard to audit them all. There is a huge number of stores as well, not like in Europe. And this is where we are trying to find this, you know, partnership way of doing things, trying to understand better what is the current situation and how we can apply technology to improve it.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions for Natalie, feel free to write them on the chat. Also, Lena, if you have any questions for Natalie as well, feel free to, well, not put it on the chat, but you can ask it directly. And if not, I guess we can go through to Lena's pitch. So Lena is the marketing director at Yapster, and yeah, the stage is yours. You want to ask something to Natalie?
Thank you, Benjamin. Natalie, that was a really interesting presentation, especially in retail where it's so hard to sort of communicate with that frontline team. I thought it was really interesting because I think your application with sort of ours would be a really good to sort of connect to get people more engaged and get them to reach those KPIs from a frontline staff. That's how we call anyone who's in retail. Do you find that it's quite easy to get people? I guess it's a little bit of a follow-up question on the tech aspect of things, how to get people engaged. Have you found that it was quite difficult to get them to get started with a new tech?
Yeah, of course, there's some kind of educational period, especially if the company didn't use anything before. And they want to implement the new system. There is this period when the management has to come to the frontline people and say, okay, now we are implementing this technology and you have to learn, you have to cope with it. This can be tricky sometimes, depends on the company again, right? And like the level of their like current technology usage and stuff like that, what instruments they apply now. If there is nothing, of course, it's kind of difficult to get everyone on board. And sometimes our customers really struggle with that. But we try to find the ways how to improve the situation when it's really hard to engage people.
Yeah. And do you have like ways, like metrics to help a company sort of keep track of, you know, this is your average, this is how you can like, this is the industry average? That's amazing. That's really cool.
Basically, what we have in the dashboard is something like the team management part, where you can track how many audits were done by the person, like what is their scoring and stuff like that. We don't have the benchmarking with the corporate world from the same industry, unfortunately, now. I guess because it really depends on the sense of the project that you are doing and like how many times per year or per month you have to do these audits, because it really depends also on the industry and many other factors. That's why it's hard to provide this benchmarking. But I agree, sometimes it's kind of difficult as well to engage people on a level that is needed for making this thing work genuinely. So we are trying to do our best from our side, but it depends on the customer a lot as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can help you. So I'm gonna, on that note, let me share my screen.
Let's see.
And I'll give you a quick presentation. Let me see. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. If I do.
Also, just to let you know, Lina and Natalie, Jamila can see us now, and yes, so yeah, hello.
Amazing.
Sorry about earlier.
Oh, that's all right. We could see you. Maybe I did have some questions actually for you, but I'll pick them up after.
Yeah. We can do that.
Continue. Yeah.
So you can see my screen. Still all good?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for having me here. I'm really excited. I am Colombian, so I'm even more excited to be part of this little panel. So I'm from Yapster, as Benjamin said. I'm the marketing director, and I'll just run quickly through a presentation on what we do and how we can help, and sort of the essence of where we come from. So we are a mobile communications platform to help frontline teams. So I call frontline anyone who's in retail, hospitality, and anyone who's like at the front line of customer service, but they don't have a corporate email address. So you'd be surprised how many people in these sectors don't have an email address, because, you know, Microsoft and Google are quite expensive to buy overall. So yeah, those are who we are trying to help. And Yapster does this through our communication app. It's an application. It's close to a customer in particular. And what we do is we help you set a vision by communicating with your large teams at scale. So for example, any weekly updates, for example, if you're downloading you promoting a new tech, this is a place where you can promote that. So it helps you communicate with your frontline team, because if you don't communicate it, they're not going to get behind it. And post-it notes and flyers in break rooms just don't do it anymore. It also helps nurture your culture. So for example, it helps you promote your values, on-brand behaviors through a newsfeed, one-to-one chats, or even group chats. Another thing we do is we fix broken workflows of miscommunication. So if an organization has too many applications, or it has too many tech stacks that they don't know how to communicate, we have an apps tab where we can bring all of those together for a business. And then last but not least, the latest feature that we have is gamification. So we create games, and it's like Formula style. I don't know if anyone watches Formula One, but it's competitions between stores. You can create against colleagues, for example, and they're all using a specific KPI. So it just depends what you're trying to achieve. So it could be sales targets, NPS scores, or anything you want to gamify. And it creates a group chat where different stores are competing for that higher score. So again, just trying to get people to be more engaged in that overall business plan of your business. So where do we fit in with your employee tech stack? Yapster feeds off from your HR platform, And that's where we gather all of our, the data of who's in your team. And then it just complements the rest of the tech stack that you might have. Here in the UK, specifically in retail and hospitality, we already integrate with a couple of partners. You can see them there on the screen, but we're always looking to integrate with other partners as well that might help. So this is all sort of the technical aspect of things, but something that is important and I want to highlight in this, the essence of Yapster, is leadership. So, or what we call social leadership, which is using digital devices to communicate with your teams. So leadership has evolved throughout history. It went from public speaking, somebody just standing up and shouting at a crowd, preaching a specific message just with their voice, right? And then it went on to the printed word, where we could communicate via, they have messages, the Bible, for example, different messages. Then we went on to the age of radio, and our CEO uses a very specific case, which is the movie The King's Speech. I don't know if anyone has seen it, but it's where the king, in order to communicate with a larger audience and get people behind them, he had to fix a stutter because he was communicating via radio. So again, leadership was, it evolved into you having to talk to people at wider scales. And the next step was, in 1981, the first movie star president, where he pretty much won by being that friendly uncle that everyone loves on camera. And not going to go into politics, but needless to say, what smartphones have done to our political landscape today. So Yapster sort of tapping onto that evolution of digital by getting an app that can communicate with your frontline teams. So a big example here is Meet Terry. Terry's a business leader in retail who is never available to his frontline teams. He doesn't communicate the vision. The majority of the team have never heard from him, don't know what he stands for, his values, his ideas. They just never communicate. Versus Meet Wendy. She's actually one of our customers. She is the executive chair of a business called Bartlett & Mitchell, and she is always available. So from Bartlett & Mitchell, 95% of her team are onboarded on Yapster, and 78% of her team are active weekly. So they chat weekly. 42% are active daily. So she's a social leader through Yapster's analytics, because we have an analytics platform where we track who is posting, who is active, and who is a social leader and an influencer. And you have to do so by one-to-one conversations, liking posts, commenting, and just engaging overall. We have had, which you can download on our website, is a social leadership report from 2022. We're working on this year's one. And these are sort of the different customers that are part of this social leadership era that we're trying to do. And I'll leave you with this, a bit of a fun quiz. If you want to do it, is what type of social leader are you? You can scan the code and do a little bit of a quiz to find out. And yeah, that's it. So I hope that was helpful. Let me go back and stop sharing. Where are we? Great.
Awesome. Thank you, Lina. And if anyone has any questions as well, feel free to put them in the chat. And it was a very interesting presentation. I have a couple of questions myself, if you don't mind. And the first one is, if we look into the graveyard of, let's call them corporate social media companies, there's a lot, like Yammer, which was actually a unicorn and acquired by Microsoft, I think, $1.2 billion, and then everyone just stopped using it, and it's sort of alive, but not really. There's Facebook for work or whatever it's called, which is probably only used by Meta employees. So my first question is, why do you think that they failed at retaining their users or reaching into more customers and more users, and what are you doing differently than them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, and it's really key because the biggest problem is you you only get what you invest in. So as a company, if I don't invest in communicating with my team, and if I'm the leader and I don't use my application and I don't set an example, then my team is not going to use it either. So what we're trying to do, aside from, yes, we are another app who's trying to help communicate, we are trying to teach about social leadership, and it's more about the leadership aspect of things. So like, if I'm the CEO and I post regularly and I talk to my team through there, if I communicate with them, because for example, in retail and hospitality, I might have different sites across the UK. I can't talk to them all at once, and I need to make an effort to talk to them, either obviously in person. Nothing takes away from speaking in person, but communicating that weekly message. Hey team, this is our goal this week. Shout out to the site in Newcastle for selling the most last week. So it's about how much you put in as well, and that's how we differentiate. We're trying to help people grow in their social leadership skills.
Awesome, thank you. And we have a question in the chat, which is, does the Japster application have a limit on the number of people that they can support, and is it available in Latin America?
No. So there's no limit. So we sign up per company. So for example, as I gave an example, Cafe Nero here in the UK are one of our customers, or Next as well, the retail, and they have 18,000 employees and they're all on Yapster. So there is no limit on how many people can be on Yapster. Is it available in Latin America? I have to say we don't have any customers in Latin America yet, but we'll be more than happy to move to Latin America. We do have international businesses like Nobu Hotel, for example. They have different bases in different parts of the world, and we are in a couple of their sites.
Awesome. I think Natalie wants to ask a question.
Yeah. Just a quick one regarding the business model, as we are talking about, like no limit on number of people. How do you monetize this?
So it's per user per month. So then, depending on how many users you have, that's how much you pay.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So if the more users you have, or the more employees that you have, the more it would be charged to the customer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, clear.
Awesome. And another one on my side is, what is the incentive for the, let's call them the frontline workers, not the CEO or the boss, but the actual, like, the biggest user base to actually use the app? Like, why did they want to use it?
Absolutely. That is sort of the key question, especially in retail and hospitality, is getting that frontline team engaged. Let's be honest, sometimes people use the application, these jobs because they're in university, but there are quite a few people that are using it to continue to grow in their careers in these specific sectors. I think the key thing is to make yourself stand out. No matter what, you can build on these soft skills of leadership, which are important no matter what role or what job you go into. So again, it just helps that. And from the competition side, I mean, who doesn't like a competition? So it just helps you compete and participate in, like, I want my site to win because, I love winning. Personally, I'm a competitive person, so I will always jump on a competition. So it's just about getting those people involved and be part of the family of the company, and that really comes down from the leadership down. If you work for an impressive leader, you're going to want to get involved.
Awesome. Another question in the chat is, in what languages is the app available?
Yeah, so right now it's available only in English, but we do have a feature which is translate, so it will translate to whatever language your device is in. we use the Google Translate. So like you might have a conversation in Spanish, and you click on that conversation and just put translate, and it'll translate it from English to Spanish.
Also, another one on my side is obviously right now a big bunch of the market for this is covered by Slack, in which like corporate leaders or team leaders or whatever can also post, and people within teams can interact. How how is this different, and what other like features are you giving the
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah, so the main difference with Slack is Slack is mostly for businesses that have corporate emails, where they have a computer and they can use a computer. Yes, Slack has an app, but it hasn't developed as much as, what we're trying to replace in a way is WhatsApp in the workplace, because this is a secure way of your employees to communicate. So let's say the business case of a retail company using WhatsApp is, let's say we both work for Next, and I'm added to a chat and you're added to a chat. They're right away giving your phone number, and that that's a GDPR constraint right there, because you're not supposed to share my phone number with everyone. So yeah, bless you, Jamila. And yeah, so that is the main case, is that it's for phone, somebody who is in the front line, doesn't have a computer in front of them, and just to keep it secure from a GDPR perspective and not sharing your personal details.
Okay, awesome. I don't want to monopolize the conversation a lot, so if anyone has any other questions before I ask my next question. Okay, I guess while we wait for someone to do something on the chat, I can ask another one, and then maybe we can move to like the general questions for all the panel in more in retail and e-commerce. But my last question is on the gamification part, because obviously we deal a lot with that in the fund. So what other like gamification ideas are you developing to keep that engagement and retention within the app? And have you seen actual improvement correlated with when you implemented the first gamification feature?
Yeah. So we launched our gamification feature this year. Sorry, it's all a blur. I feel like I'm still in, or was it last year during COVID? Anyways, it's recent. It's not very old. And what we've seen the most is actually it increases engagement on a weekly basis and also sales. So on our website, we have a case study with Krispy Kreme UK, where they ran a couple of competitions during a specific period of time, and you could see the increase in engagement and sales. So it's both keeping people engaged, but at the end of the day, that KPI of increasing sales. So we're working on developing that feature a bit more to make it more sustainable on increasing engagement and also increasing sales.
Awesome. All right. If unless someone has a specific question on Yapster, we can move on to general questions on the retail and e-commerce industry, which you all know very well. So I can kick it off, and whomever wants to answer it can do it, or everyone, however you prefer. But my first general question is, we like the three companies that we saw were sort of trying to solve a similar problem, which is inefficiency and lack of tech in the retail industry. So what do you think are the trends for the following 5 or 10 years related to tech in the retail industry? Like in general, where do you think the industry is moving to?
Well, I think on my side, what I see across different industries in retail, I mean, it can be like CPG products, can be fashion, whatever, or accessories. So the idea is that I think many businesses are moving to digital and are trying to bridge this gap between online and offline. And I think what Jamila is doing in your company, it's kind of serving the same mission, so to say, to try to bring digital to retail, physical retail, and improve the experience, try to maximize the, minimize the efforts that are needed to sell more and to engage people and to compete in the market, which is very, very competitive with a lot of players in every industry, whatever you choose. It can be electronics, can be fashion, everywhere. There are a million brands that are trying to win the audience. So I think the general trend is like to moving to different types of technologies that will engage people, like applying AR, applying different types of communication between people, connecting e-commerce and retail space, and making sure that there is a smooth path for every person who would like to buy something, whatever it would be. Every company is trying to find ways to optimize their cost, but as well engage people in new ways and somehow compete with other companies in the markets, making it less costly for themselves. So I don't know, guys, what's your view? Because I think Jamila is very much in the space of trying to connect to dots. Maybe you have your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Natalie, I think I agree with you. I think that the last, I don't know, 20 or 30 years has been a lot about creating the infrastructure for digital tools and engagement. So if we think about how efficient e-commerce has become, and I think now it's just about how do brands, D2C became such a big thing in the last 10 years. How do you now, whether you're a pure online company or whether you have a hybrid of physical and online stores, how do you engage with your customer? Because the cost of acquiring them has just like exponentially increased. And I think what you're saying is bang on, which is it's about how do you create, how do you humanize it? How do you engage with the customer no matter where they are in their digital space, whether they're just on their phone or they're on your website or, you know, or they're in Web3, how do you engage with them? And how do you continuously engage with them so that every transaction with them is not so costly? So I think for us, we're really looking at how we humanize the experience because the digital infrastructure is there, but now how do we kind of decrease the gap or bridge the gap between something that is very homogenous and transactional versus something that's more high touch and personalized?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because we are in a digital era where everything is sort of digital, but at the same time, nothing loses that human touch. So it's kind of connecting. How do I maintain, especially retail, where it's supposed to be a personalized one-to-one experience? How do I connect that with digital and making it more efficient? So I think a lot of the technology that hopefully is ahead is about making the process more efficient without taking away the personalization of retail and hospitality and these sorts of like customer facing industries.
That's very
yeah. And I think
because,
just one more thing, I think this touches into, Lena, what your company does is that we've seen that post-COVID, I guess what started during COVID was that companies really started focusing on their top, I don't know, 1% of their customers and going back to the basics of relationship building.
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing on our end, and we work with companies who have any sort of like where there's a considered purchase. So where the customer is looking for some sort of help. It could be something as simple as buying a teapot to buying a sofa. But I think what we're seeing is that staff are being retrained to be better at creating relationships and facilitating conversation and help and support to customers, no longer just going to get inventory from a stock room. So I think also in line with the way that customers are engaging with brands and making it more experience focused and building relationships, I think brands are also retraining staff and thinking about the talent and skills that their staff have to have and that they need to invest in order to have more sustainability and longevity with their teams.
Within that line, and then I'll ask one of the questions on the chatbot. How do you see the new generation, the Gen Z generation of consumers in that trend of do you think they want more human interaction, less human interaction? Do you think how do they behave differently from the previous generations? Because obviously in the next years it's a market that will continue to grow, so brands will have to adapt to the needs of that market.
It's so interesting because I don't really understand the new generation that much. But what do understand is that their attention span is quite short, and you have to get them quickly if you want to keep them. You can't it can't be long process. You have to be quite engaging from the beginning, for them to be like, okay, I'm buying into this. This is interesting. And I think as long as technology continues to evolve, I do think that's just going to keep getting that way. It's just going to be like, how fast can you act?
Yeah, I agree. I think the new generations are really picky, so it's really hard to take their attention and make sure that they will pay attention to your brand, not your competition. And that's where all the technologies are trying to focus on, like how to engage people of new generations and make them buy something you own instead of your competitor. And I think it's super visible in the fashion industry right now, because what companies which have been like pretty old and selling in an old-fashioned way, when you bring champagne in the store, you try to engage a person with a personal touch and asking if they need any help, providing them recommendation. I think new generations are against that and are trying to avoid any personal contact, trying to find a way how to buy something online, what is the coolest brands on social media, how to show off yourself with this new cool brand. So I see that there is a huge trend in fashion when you have to like how to engage these people and like what you can do on social media and online to do this as efficient and as quick as possible. So I believe that this really changes how companies perform in retail space as well, and of course in online. And I guess it's also applicable to other industries like, I don't know, FMCG companies that are trying to put QR codes in the stores, trying to engage people to interact with their products, or let's say chocolate companies that are putting different apps to engage kids to not only buy the chocolate, but also play with something online. So I guess it all comes to the point that companies are trying to connect digital and physical spaces and engage new audiences, because very soon they will be the main group of consumers, or maybe they already are.
Yeah, agreed. So someone in the chat asked for everyone, if you're collaborating with any financial infrastructure, I guess integrated in your companies.
Not sure if I got the question.
Okay, we're gonna skip that. Because I guess they mean if about integrations like with Stripe or some company for payments, or which is pretty common in startups for sure. But
so we do. Sorry, because I can't hear. We do. We have lots of financial integrations. So we find that we can actually offer brands through our platform sometimes more payment options than they would normally through their normal e-commerce site.
Agreed. And by the way, Jamila, it's great that you found a way to interact without hearing us, because she's using the closed captions. So last minute.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sorry. Also,
cool.
if I'm talking too much.
No. If anything, I think we would have liked to have more time to ask questions about Parla, but awesome. Well, I guess we have to wrap up because we have 1 minute left. And thank you, everyone. It was super interesting to uh, hear about your companies and about your thoughts on the retail and e-commerce industry, and obviously the purpose of these events and of a lot of the chambers of commerce from Latin America in the UK is to extend commercial relationships between both regions. And I think uh, within the retail and e-commerce industry, that's one of the spear points that will drive those commercial relationships and that are doing that like today. So awesome. I guess we ran out of time. So thank you very much, and anyone who's listening to this or to the recording, I think you can now ask questions directly, or send a message directly to any of the panelists and interact with them. And I think there's a networking session after this.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Benjamin.
having us.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.